Hello, and welcome to the See International Podcast, Episode 2. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are new to See International or this podcast, my name is Steve Bunnell, and I am the head of communications at See International. Every month or so, I put on an interview with one of See's many incredible volunteer ophthalmologists who have gone out recently on a sight-restoring expedition. Today I have for you an interview with Dr. Madhavi Reddy, who lives in Brownsville, Texas. Dr. Reddy, who is originally from India, has traveled to every corner of the earth, performing volunteer surgeries on people who wouldn't otherwise have access to basic vision care. She brings with her an amazing perspective and just a really wonderful, warm worldview that I hope comes through in this interview. I think you're going to really enjoy listening to it. Also, special thanks to Dr. Reddy for being very patient during the recording of this. We had some Wi-Fi issues, and she was just an absolute trooper throughout it. So, anyway, once again, thank you very much, Dr. Reddy. If you have any questions about See, please email us at info@seeintl.org or visit our website at www.seeintl.org. Thanks and enjoy. All right, so I think we are on now. I have the wonderful Dr. Madhavi Reddy talking to me over Skype right now from, is it Brownsville? You're in Brownsville, Texas?
Yes.
From Brownsville, Texas. And she is taking time out of her very busy day to talk with us, tell us about her wonderful experiences with See, and we are just very, very grateful to have her here. So thanks, Madhavi. I really appreciate it.
Sure, Steve. Thank you so much for actually giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with See International.
Now, I wanted to start by asking you, ophthalmology is not an easy job, nor is being a doctor in general. What made you want to be a doctor in the first place, anyway?
You know, it's a long story. Mm-hmm. And before I get there, I wanted to share with everyone, working with See is just a dream come true for me. I'll tell you why. First of all, I love ophthalmology to the extent that I even want to practice it on vacation. Everybody laughs at me. And then the second thing is I love traveling and meeting new people. So when I first connected with See, I just didn't think twice. I signed up. It was 2004. And since then, it's been a blast. Every year, it's a different location and on a different continent.
What is it about ophthalmology that you love so much? Most people, when they go on vacation, don't say that they miss doing their work or they wish they were doing it right then.
Oh, my goodness. Like I said, it's a long story. I think it's all my mother's fault doing, I guess. I have a suspicion that she fed the idea of becoming a doctor along with baby food.
Is your mom a doctor?
No, she's not. Actually, she's a housewife.
Oh, okay.
So,
but she just has a lot of respect for doctors.
Totally. I mean, I can't remember wanting to be anything else. And my dad actually worked in the Indian Forest Service in South India. So I started med school when I was 16 in India. And promptly discovered two fascinating things. One was brain in the anatomy dissection hall, and then the other was the boys in the classroom, of course.
What other allure is there besides brains and boys?
Right? And then eventually I picked ophthalmology. Did you know, Steve, that in an embryo, the eyes start growing as two little buds off of the tissue that eventually becomes the brain?
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah. So I ended up, getting interested in ophthalmology. And then guess what? I ended up marrying one of those boys from my class.
Oh, that's sweet. It was in the stars, it sounds like.
So I did a residency in ophthalmology in Hyderabad, again, South India. Mm-hmm. And as part of our training program, they were mission trips. Mm-hmm. They were actually a requirement. And of course, there were a lot of work, but a lot of fun too. I mean, we had all this camaraderie and we screened hundreds and thousands of patients and operated late into the night. In fact, my first cataract surgery was on one of those trips, and they were memorable. I mean, they not only made me realize how big blindness was in the developing countries and what a difference we could make by just giving a little bit of our time. So that was really how the seed of mission trips was planted in my mind. And then let's see what happened after that. When we moved to United States, I went through a master's program, a 2-year residency in internal medicine, a 3-year residency in ophthalmology, starting a family, settling into practice. And then guess what? One day at the academy, I came across the International. My goodness, I said, you know what? It brings me back such good memories. And I said, I can't wait anymore. My youngest was 3 years old. So I picked a location, Morelia, Mexico.
How about that? And it got you out of the house, away from the screaming 3-year-old, I'm sure, too.
That's right. That's right.
Good age to escape.
And then, absolutely, from all those tantrums. One of the really nice memories I have from that trip is Dr. Miller. He was like the team leader, one of the C docs, the first C docs that I met. And he was amazing. I learned so much from him. And we did phaco's mostly in a fancy, real operating room in Morelia. And that was 2004.
And it's been 12 years since, and you've gone all over the place.
And in some locations, I've been the only doctor in some locations, part of a bigger team. But always, every trip is different and I have so many stories to tell from each location. I think about a country, and all that comes to my mind is the mission trip and the people that I met there, the patients. And, some of them have been very special. Those patients.
You can tell from you can tell from the photos that you sent me. Just the way that you're holding and looking at some of the children, the way they're looking at you. I will post those online so people can see, but they really are very striking and just show how powerful an experience it is.
They certainly are. I'll actually share one special story with
Please.
you, Steve. This one is from Vanuatu. It's a Pacific island nation. About 65 to 70 islands in that nation, and there's just one ophthalmologist for the whole population of 250,000.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. And this particular one was Tana, an island that has an active volcano. And we're there. We cleaned up. Part of the cleaning up was actually sweeping the operating room, and we could get this black ash out of it. And we set it up. First case, first day, white cataract in a 16-year-old.
Oh, my goodness.
And we were working.
That's so young.
I know. Can you imagine that? Yes. So we were working with Marine Reach. Yeah, Marine Reach was the local organization that screened the patients and worked them up and had them ready. So the optometrist who saw this patient, said, oh, yeah, she had trauma about maybe 2-3 years ago, and then she had light perception, projection. These are requirements before you decide to do surgery on a patient. So we had the, table set up and microscope set up, and this is the first patient. Proceeded with the cataract surgery, aspirated the cataract, and then right away I could see she had a total retinal detachment. The retina was just bobbing up and down in the back part of the eye.
Oh.
I know. Exactly. That was my, feeling. I looked at my scrub tech, and she said, I have the lens ready. What do you want to do? I said, you know what? I'm just going to put the lens in because we have to throw the lens away. It's already contaminated.
Sure.
So we put the implant, then I just put it aside, get through the day, do, tens of surgeries, and the next day morning, we're ready to take off the patches. And the first in line is the 16-year-old. And she has this totally expectant face, and I'm thinking, bracing myself for the disappointment, take off the patch, and her father looks at her. She's all smiles, he's all smiles, and she can see nothing.
Oh.
And I'm like, I am so disappointed. You won't believe it. And of course, I can't speak the language. And then I send her off on the team to go through the post-op drops and appointments and everything. And that evening, I was talking to a pastor on the team. And I said, I can't imagine why she was smiling, why she was happy. I was unhappy and she was not. And the pastor says, don't you know, Dr. Reddy, in this native tribe, all the physically disabled people are treated as social outcasts. This young lady could not get married, could not participate in anything because of her white pupil. And now she can't see with that eye and she doesn't care. She looks normal. She's going to get married, have children, have a normal life. I mean, I kept thinking we can't restore vision all the time, but we can make a difference in their lives. It comes in many ways, different ways. Totally unexpected.
I wanted to talk more about your motivation now. You seem so incredibly motivated in helping others and going out and doing these trips. I know that you've told me in the past that your faith is a fairly major part of what motivates you too. Would you go into that?
Sure. I mean, I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual.
I see it.
That's how I put it. And spirit is something that lives in all of us. And connecting with people and doing my part is my main thing. It's like when I went to Morelia, my first trip, I was thinking, I'm going to go there, give whatever I have, my time, my skills. And when I came back, I realized what I received was so much more than what I gave. It's like a perfect win-win deal, It's almost like these days when you think about what do you want out of life? Everything is just measured by your results. The people evaluate your performance and say, what did you get out of it? So what do I get out of it? This is what it is, connections. And it's not just doing good. It's like, it's so hard to explain, First day of mission trip, I'm always thinking, gosh, why am I here? It's so much hard work.
Yeah.
Am I crazy or what? But at the end of the trip, every single time I think, wow, it's worth it.
Whoa.
And when you go on a mission trip, people just not only open their doors for you, but they open their hearts. So you see the best of humanity and you come back with that belief, it's like a fresh perspective. When you work every day in the office, you lose sight of what you really are doing because you're arguing with insurance companies, you are, dealing with HMOs, demanding patients, difficult employees, reimbursements, and all those. And I mean, this is one place, the mission trip you go to get away from all this, to get redirected to what your really goal was, what your motivation was in becoming an eye doctor. It's to restore sight, to connect with people, and then to do your part. And you come back all fresh and, recovered despite the jet lag and despite the hard work, despite all the work that you have put in. Yeah,
I'm sure
that's what it is.
I'm sure the fact that the patients are so grateful too really makes a difference. I'm sure they don't take for granted your altruism, your volunteering.
Actually, no. I mean, I've had some people ask me, in fact, some of the hosts, like in Ecuador, Dr. Ikaza, I was his house guest for a whole week. He had me in his house. I got to know his family. And one day evening, we were just sitting down at the end of a long day, operating day, and we were having a glass of wine. And then he says, I can't imagine you're just a woman and you left your family and you're here thousands of miles away and working. Why? I tell him, this is exactly the moment, At the end of the day, I have not looked at what am I getting out of it, only what can I give. And it works best when you don't expect any benefits out of it. It is simply what you give, not wanting to get.
Well, that's wonderful. I think that says a lot about you, though, and your view of the world, your ability to focus on the things that matter as well. Going back to where we began, really, I mean, sound like you give a full-throated recommendation of going on these sea trips to any and all ophthalmologists that want to volunteer. Does that sound right?
Totally. In fact, I made a list of things that if anybody wants to go on these trips, what they should be thinking of or what they should be doing. Yeah, and I'll just go over it briefly. One thing I would say is always examine your motives. Why are you doing this? Not just doing good, but also enjoying it is important. Otherwise, you come back, the doing good kind of fades off. But if you have fun doing it, you want to go back again. Second thing is like be open-minded, open-minded to and flexible about what kind of situations are waiting for you at the other end. And it's important to be observant, optimistic, but at the same time, you have to be able to interact with people from different cultures, see what their motivations are, and how to make the best out of it. And another thing is, I strongly believe do no harm either to the patient or to yourself. It's otherwise you can't put yourself at risk for someone else, because that doesn't work in the end. Mm-hmm. So, and I do have this thing about, like, you have to be sure where you want to go, how long you want to be off, and how much homework you have to do in the sense that you have to get in touch with the C doctors who've been there to that location and talk to the host doctor, see what kind of instruments and supplies you need, go over them. And I also strongly recommend that they take the manual small incision course that C offers. And that it's always very good preparation.
Wonderful. And we're holding multiple of those this year, and we're going to be hopefully having more and more as the years progress, and always encourage doctors to sign up for those and learn some good new techniques.
Yeah. Hey, another thing I wanted to tell you, Steve, C comes across so many doctors that are willing to volunteer, because my eventual goal or dream is to work 50% in U.S. and 50% on charity work in about 2 or 3 years. And for that, I would like you to, locate someone who'll be willing to do that.
Wonderful. What a great idea.
So if anybody's listening, it's been such a pleasure sharing all my stories and experiences with you. And you want to do this any other time, you're absolutely welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Madhavi. This has been a lovely conversation. And I know that you have a big flight later today after working hard. So you really are a trooper. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you, Steve.